Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a lovely day. We're going to be focusing this video on something that hasn't really been seen for nearly a year, and also the dynamic of the game shifting. Yes, I'm talking about champion clashes and as well champion challenges. So for those that don't know, champion clashes and also champion challenges are things that Kabam will drop in from time to time. Community boss rushes do seem to be a thing that does happen once in a year, and maybe it's a case there will be more of these in the future. But the weird thing is we haven't seen so many, and maybe that's down to several different reasons which we're going to look at in this video. Obviously, to go a little bit further to explain why I'm choosing to do a video like this, I thought it was quite interesting to look back at some of the ones that have been put in, why Kabam have kind of shifted their attention to maybe some other types of content, and maybe again this could be influenced by a lot of things that are currently out in the MCU, and the fact we haven't done them in conjunction with celebrity based events. So let's try and deep dive this. Okay, so first and foremost, shout out to Marvel Contest of Champions Fandom.com. So basically kind of like a wiki site of information about the game. Now, as you can see here, there's a lot of things in regards to information, whether or not it's permanent content-based special events information, or it goes down and looks at other things. Coulson's Champion Challenge, which I know is exactly what we're talking about, that is one of those theoretical challenges, and also the fact that we get consistent things with Love as a Battle Realm. But as we go down, and the more that you kind of look into stuff, you kind of go, hey, well, what's the deal with these kind of events not actually appearing? Yes, we've had Chloe's Warriors of Awesomeness, well, once, but twice. We've also had other challenges as well. The Grandmaster's Gold Bloom Challenge, which was 2 years ago, not to mention the fact that we've got Michael B. Jordan's challenge, which was a very, very popular one and was only just a couple of years ago. Angeline Lilly's The Champions Clash. We've had a whole smorgasbord of different types of clashes and challenges. But where things really changed was last year. March 2019 saw that, well, the end of the clashes and challenges. Now, a lot of these type of events, they either tie into something, as we've seen celebrity-based challenges largely tie into movies in order to do some kind of cross-promotion. Now, I don't know how this works, if it's a case that there has to be a fee paid to the certain celebrities that star in these type of movies. In the past, and I'm not saying these aren't A-listers, they certainly are A-listers now. So trying to get people that are most notable, like Brie Larson or Samuel L. Jackson, in order to do one of these challenges may be a case that the budget isn't there. Regardless if, say, there's some sort of cross-promotion that we have to waive the fee when it comes to getting them to do a celebrity-based challenge, I just don't know. And maybe that's why it was called the Captain Marvel Combat Clash, rather than saying the Brie Larson Challenge or the Brie Larson Combat Clash. It's going to be interesting to see whether or not we'll have something that ties into the Black Widow movie, which in all actuality would be the only time I'd think that this would be applicable to do an MCU celebrity-based clash or based challenge. Here's where I think the thought process shifts, and if you look at things that Kabam Miike has said over the past few weeks and months, when he talks about the in-game economy and what the extent of limits Kabam are willing to give out to players per month, I think it really points to Kabam have more interest in doing variants as opposed to doing the clashes and champion challenges. Especially in this month, the month of February, when there was talk about the extent of what Kabam are willing to give out on the monthly basis, especially with this month's Epic giving 1000 6-star shards and the crystals, which are incredibly trash and unlucky. It is a real eye-opener to think that, well, would they do 1 month where they do, number one, a variant, number two, a very fruitful and nice reward side quest, the main uncollected for that given month, not to mention the fact of some nice added extras with a calendar and maybe some other things to boot, not to mention further progression for a story mode and as well a special arena. Is Kabam then giving out too much to the community where they would kind of go, look, we have a limit of what we're going to give you? So they may kind of go, look, shoving something like another clash or a challenge would be an added extra. This is why, again, I kind of will revert back to the same way of thinking that the variants are essentially going to be and are the new and ongoing champion clashes and challenges, except for community boss rushes, which will kind of ping up from time to time and are actually quite nice, but I don't think they're at the same standard with the rewards that they give out as the challenges and as the clashes have done in the past. Now, if you do compare the rewards, they look like this. As a fully formed tier 2 alpha, 5-star crystal, Tier 5 basic, and then you got the 6-star shards, you got the generic signature stones, and you got 250k gold. If you compare that with variant 1, obviously there's a lot more on offer, but there's more of an extensive grind in Ultron's Assault, which was the variant 1, and look, you know, it isn't going to be fun, but most of the more modern ones seem to have more of a less of intensive and more fairer grind to them compared with what you get from them. So with this being the last clash or last challenge to be put into the game, this one does seem like, yeah, it's fairer for the grind. Players were able to complete this a lot more quicker than they've done others, but at the same time it doesn't show the evolution which obviously variants do, and give people more investment of time to really kind of have fun with it, as opposed to events like this. Also, events like this came with a lot of criticism based on the way that they function, based on them being a little bit trollish. And yeah, I did feel personally that these were a little bit boring, especially because it didn't really utilize a full aspect of a roster where it was all about, you know, just having the lead champions, and it was all the same champions were doing it better obviously than others, and especially with the game that has evolved into what it is now. Variants do seem a lot more fun than stuff like this. Obviously, one constant that's always going to be around with these special events is boss rushes. Boss Rush Community Choice 2 was released last year and was actually quite a fun thing. You weren't going to get the most substantial rewards, and if I remember rightly, there was only something like 10,000 5-star shards on offer, and Kabam were actually thinking about putting it so that you did it for a legendary crystal, which we, the CCP, said, look, you can't do that, you need to make it something a little bit better. And especially, I know it was an easier quest, I know a lot of people did it very, very easily, but there were a few challenges in there that players weren't happy with. Either way, I think a lot of the community are just happy with this as it is, and it's an easy fight just to do. And as well, the same thing that I find kind of weird is understanding the extents and limits of what Kabam do give out on a monthly basis when it comes to rewards, because as again I said at the start of this video, Kabam, Mike and other members of Kabam have talked about the idea of there's always a threshold for what they give out to players on a monthly basis. So where does it line with something like giving out the previous boss rush, not this one, but the one we just said about a minute ago? Where does the threshold go to go, okay, we can only give out 30,000 5-star shards a month to players from our events that we give out? How do variants factor into that as well? And as well, putting something like an extra challenge in, does that change the dynamic of that? There's some things I think consistency needs to be understood from the way that Kabam deliver content rewards. I've gone off on a tangent, but I want to bring this back to the final point. And the final point is, again, are challenges and clashes dead? As we know, Michael B. Jordan's challenge, Chadwick and Tom's challenge, and Chloe's Warriors of Awesomeness challenge, as well as so many challenges and clashes that have been released over the last couple years, really do seem to have stopped. And for me personally, I like it. I think it's good. And the reason I feel that it's stopped, and I think it's good that they've stopped, is because of variants. And that's not to say that Kabam won't say in about a week's time, hey, we're thinking of doing a champion clash or a new champion challenge, because look, let's face it, that might happen, and it also might happen with the release of Black Widow. But yeah, the reason that I like variants so much over the champion clashes and as well the challenges is that the rewards are better, the event is more fun, and it's permanent rather than it being an event that has a timestamp to it. Now, on a monthly basis, Kabam do actually put in a lot of content. You might disagree with that, but there'll be one month where it'll be a little bit more quieter, and the following month will then see a lot. So I'll give you an example. For March of 2020, more than likely we will see a variant. We'll also see Act 6.4 put in, and more than likely we'll see a side quest, maybe another aspect to that side quest, and the main event quest. So that's 5 bits of content, which also undermines the fact that we've probably got a new season of Alliance Wars, Alliance Quest, which obviously is meant to be quite competitive, and especially if you're not doing seasons, then you're doing more competitive Map 6 or Map 7 for a lot of higher up ones, and maybe other alliances are doing more than they normally do in Alliance Quest. The fact is, there's a lot of content going on. So then putting an extra thing in like that, like a challenge, would be seen as a bit of a, not a silly thing. When time sensitive stuff for Kabam building for the future, maybe more easier for them to build a variant than it would be to build a champion clash. And also maybe it's a case of it's easier for Kabam to make those boss rushes, and also it's a case they can focus more time in other areas, like again the variants and other things like Act 6, or maybe what a future Act 7 is. So that could be where the reasons that we largely haven't seen for nearly a year the champion clashes and the champion challenges are. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. That has been a deep dive as to why we haven't seen this event over the last year. And like I said, it could be a case that Kabam may next week announce a champion clash or a challenge, and maybe as well with the MCU start kicking back up with Black Widow, but not in the same universe, because that's a different storyline to it, and it's actually a sort of prequel type thing, so it doesn't really kind of work out too much. But there could be a challenge, and as well with more things like Disney streaming service and as well other things going on, you could see more of these, a resurgence of this type of mode. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this? Put them in the comment section down below. Are you missing these type of events? Are you not missing these kind of events? Do you prefer Kabam working on things like variants as opposed to stuff like this? And as well, would you like to retool the boss rush type things to the community challenge? Put it in the comment section down below. Thanks very much for supporting this video. Check out the recent content which is up here. Also check out some supporting links down here. YouTube members, patrons, and as well Twitch Prime subs. Appreciate you all, but check out something there to support the channel. Also RTM2, the live streaming channel over far left hand corner. Thanks again for watching. Bye bye.